And we welcome you to this edition of Night Shift. Eric Lopez with you, a special edition. Coming up, you're going to hear an interview that me and Don Struble conducted with UCF Athletic Hall of Famer and current Tampa Bay Rays hitting coach Chad Mottola. We'll talk to Chad Mottola about his career, currently with the Rays, what's it like in being a coach in Major League Baseball, his UCF career, and the impact Jay Bergman has had with him, as well as the family with his son redshirting this year for the UCF baseball team. That's all coming up on this special edition of Night Shift. Of course, you can follow us on all the social media platforms as well as on blackandgoldbanneret.com and check out for all the latest at UCF. All right, without further ado, let's take you now to an interview that me and Don Struble conducted with Chad Mottola. This was on about a week ago when the Tampa Bay Rays were hosting the Miami Marlins up in Tampa at Steinbrenner Field. Don and I had a chance to catch up with Chad Mottola from the Rays clubhouse on the Saturday of that three-game series between the Rays and the Marlins, where we talked about all the topics from his family. Of course, his wife, Emily, was a standout volleyball player at UCF, from his son, Luke, who redshirted this year in UCF baseball, to his minor league career, all the way to being a coach with the Rays, and of course his UCF Athletic Hall of Fame career. It's all right here, right now. Our interview with UCF Athletic Hall of Famer Chad Mottola here on Night Shift.
Coach, you guys are winners of 4 straight and sit at second in the AL East. How would you characterize the growth of the team throughout the first couple months of the season?
I think it was a little bit of adjustment coming here to Steinbrenner, having spring training right here, then open up the season here, and struggled here early on, and now we've made it a little bit of our home on a pretty good run here. Got J-Lo back, got Cammy in a good spot, Aranda all year, so the pieces are coming together nicely.
Obviously, a significant portion of your baseball journey has occurred right here in the Sunshine State. Just kind of take me back to what it was like coming out of St. Thomas Aquinas and starting at UCF. I know that you wanted to stay close to home, but what else drew you to the program, especially where it was then?
My dad and I actually took a trip there, met with Jay Bergman, had never really heard of the school, which is crazy being 3 hours away growing up in South Florida. Had a chance for maybe Miami FIU, had a UNO, a couple other schools wanted to go somewhere with a full scholarship, and UCF kind of made it easy, and had no idea what I was still going to be living there, meet my wife there. A lot of layers to it, my son there now, so the story's not complete by any means.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of Luke, obviously kind of following in your footsteps, was that always his goal, or was there any other schools he was interested in, or vice versa?
I think it happened organically. He's kind of played football, basketball his whole life, as well as baseball, so he wasn't a one-sport guy. Really not sure where it was going to end up, and went to a couple camps with Wallace being there. He's always had the grades, always been a little bit athletic, not necessarily baseball, but very similar to myself. I played football all through high school. That's where I thought I was going to go. Ended up getting drafted in baseball, which made my decision for me. Then still did not sign, went to UCF. So he's got his own story, but obviously both my wife and I are excited that he's close to home at UCF, and wherever he builds his legacy or whatever it becomes with baseball or through business or school, I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, and speaking of your wife, she was obviously a prolific volleyball player in her time there. Just kind of take me through how you guys met and the origin of that story.
Well, I actually would go back and work out after I signed. So she was a couple years after me, and met through friends, and just being athletes and always working out still at school, and kind of kept in touch and started as friends more, and then dated throughout my pro career thinking I was going to settle in somewhere, and that never happened. So she was committed through the journey as well. And like I said, we're still in the Orlando area in the off season, so it's just like I said, it's kind of worked out. We're bleeding UCF.
And basically, I mean, how have you seen the program grow from your time as a Knight to where it is now, what Luke is experiencing under Coach Wallace?
I don't know if they would ever understand the whole campus, what it used to be, the way we were on the other side, and right next to a little, I would say, a 20 by 20 dome that had the workout room for the whole school, let alone athletes. So it's just come a long way. It's fun. We do a couple football games every year, and just riding around campus, and then obviously Luke being there and going and watching some baseball games. It's just, I still have the image of the old campus, and I don't think they'll ever understand what it was, but it's just pretty cool to see how much it's grown.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the transition into the power conference, UCF is at a point where they're trying to get, especially with the house settlement, get the rev share up. The Rays are kind of in a similar position where it's like you guys get a lot of really good prospects that you develop, but obviously you have heavy hitters with bigger payroll in the AL East, like the Red Sox and the Yankees. How do you compare the two, if at all, between the Rays and UCF, what they're going through, trying to hold on to prospects and from a developmental standpoint?
I could relate to the disrespect in Florida that we get, whether it's at Miami, FSU, Florida. So I think it develops a bond more than anything. The same way here, we have a lot of pride because we obviously don't have as much money. But I think that develops a bond behind the scenes, and there's a little more pride knowing that we're doing more with less. And obviously for the last, 10 years, we've got basically the same, if not better, record in the AL East than the money that they're spending. So it's long-term worked out great. We're back rolling again. Last year was a bit of a hiccup, but everybody can go 80 and 82 is a horrible season, so it always keeps it in perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, I plan on talking to Luke here soon, but as his father, kind of what has he told you about like his experience in his first season with the team? Like how's his off-season work going to try and take that next step?
Just the way he's smiling, just the way he didn't come home that often, being a half hour from home. Yeah. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things. The team has taken him in. He redshirted this past year, and just the way I got to see them bond him to go out of the way and keep him involved, and going out watching, and he's very excited to be a Knight, and that's fun to watch. And like I said, I just want him to be happy wherever that is.
Has he ever been like around the clubhouse? Have you taken him to clubhouses when he was growing up?
Oh, he's been around, but always having activities in the summer makes it a little tougher, even though we're about an hour and a half away with no traffic, which doesn't exist. It's, I try to get him over here as much as possible. He brought a couple teammates last year in through here, so I think it's exciting to see the other guys, the way you get to see bringing other people in. The players that have been here a while have seen him grow. The coaches have seen him grow. So yeah, I would love to have them over here a little more often, but they get here as much as they can.
How do you balance that? Obviously, because your daughter plays volleyball, he's playing baseball. I assume there's a lot of phone calls after games, hey, how they're going, because obviously the grind of a baseball season.
Yeah, FaceTime. I owe a lot of credit to my wife, obviously, but my mom is there as well, helping with the carpools and things like that growing up. Now they're both driving, which has relieved my mom of a lot, but without the support of her as well. All those things, getting them to different activities, and the way the commitment nowadays of the youth sports is unreal, and just that's been recognized by me for me able to do this job is the credit to my wife in her allowing that, and the kids understanding as well. There's some perks to this, but there's a lot of things I'm missing out on and feel crushed about, but the videos and FaceTime and the technology has helped that out, but it still doesn't replace it.
Does her being a fellow athlete, has that helped make all this work, because she can relate that you're, from your standpoint, being a coach, being around athletes, playing sport, coaching in sports, she can relate to all that?
Well, not her being a good athlete. At times, wanting us to be the best at everything maybe makes it a little difficult and expects the expectations. No, but her understanding for sure. The commitment. Once you make this commitment, it's you figure out how to do it, not if you can do it. So that understanding more than anything, the lifestyle. The things we're missing, obviously I made it to his graduation. I'll make it to my daughter's graduation, but there's a lot of things in between that I do miss. I do have 3.5 months straight at home where I commit back to that and make sure I catch up, but it still doesn't substitute.
Over the years, has UCF reached out, because there's now advanced analytics in college baseball like there is in MLB. Did they ever reach out for advice on that, or I'm always fascinated by do they pick your brain at all at any point, or do they just let you be an alum?
No, they let me be an alum. Obviously, I'll walk them through what we do. I feel like we have a lot more things available to us, being in one league, playing teams 16 to 18 times, and the familiarity. There's guys in the league for 10 years, so it's a little easier to do rather than a 3-game series and trying to dig through other conferences and things like that. So I feel like it's a little more available to us than it would be at college, but I'm willing to share whatever secrets the Rays have, which I don't know how many more secrets are available that were there 10 years ago, but.
In the fall, after you saw your son play at the ball, now you didn't play there, but what's it like when you see him on campus? Was that kind of unique there? Was there any memories that popped up?
Just seeing him smile.
Yeah.
I don't want to think he has to do the things that I did or follow me in any way. If he does, great. If he doesn't, great. The man he's grown into is what I'm most proud of. The UCF, the baseball part, that's awesome. But the man he's grown into is way more important to me. The grades he's doing, how he's outsmarting us in finance and things like that. And so the options he's had, that's what's fun to sit back and see, and him smile and him grow up and him have a new group of friends and things like that.
Jay Bergman came back during alumni weekend they had over there, threw the first pitch, threw it to Rich's daughter. He was just excited. Everybody was like, all the alums were swarming him. What is it about him that all the alums just love seeing him? And he still enjoys the game. He's passionate as still as ever.
I just think that what he had to work with to build the not only the program but the school, to put it on the map, what was available to them. You don't realize it as a player at the time, the resources that he didn't have available to him. I still have Ty Lynch down there, Lawrence Heisler. We were still players down there. There's a couple more guys that just the pride that he took and having that bunch together, Scott Loubier after us. There's still guys that still keep in touch and he keeps in touch with. And I think as time goes by, you respect him more because you realize what he had to work with and what he made us feel while we were there. We didn't realize that.
Yeah,
and then you get later in life and understand what he had to go through.
Yeah, obviously the team had a little bit of a down year, went from a tournament team to not. When there is that respect and reverence for the coach, how do you think it helps carry them through these tough times? Like, what has Luke said about the way the season went, and just like how are they keeping their head on straight, getting ready for the next battle?
Well, I think Rich Wallace going to UCF and having a homegrown guy in that seat, you feel very comfortable knowing that he's going to explore every option to fix what's going on. It never rides as perfect, and usually when something goes wrong, you come out of the other end learning something. And that's what I have full confidence in Rich and Wally turning around the program and exhausting everything to do that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you know how it goes at the pro level with free agency and stuff, but you guys still have staple guys in the locker room that have been here, Yandy, Brandon, the list goes on. How important is that for a team like UCF that are able to maintain some guys like Alex Bodeker and stuff? I know they're about to move on, but like, you need that camaraderie, right?
Well, you just need the guys that have had success to understand when they're talking to their peers of when you do things certain ways and things like that, that they can walk them through the whys. And as a coach, you get older, I don't want to act like I can speak their language all the time. So when you have the peers trying to explain to them what we're talking about and things like that, and in baseball, you have so much time away from the field, and it's a game of failure, especially in hitting. Your mind's going to wander. So when you have somebody that experienced it and the ways they got through it, it just gives everybody different tools and ways to get through. So it gives the coach another tool in their toolbox to help explain what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, you've been here for almost a decade. You've experienced the ups and downs. I mean, postseason appearances, a World Series appearance in a COVID-shortened year. Now the Hurricanes moving you guys here. What has it been like donning this uniform for the past decade, and what advice do you kind of impart on younger guys like Junior and maybe Chandler? I know he just got sent back down, but like, how do you talk them through the process of Major League life?
Just I was in several organizations as a player. I think I took more out of coaching from that, not realizing it at the time, but different ways to approach people, and also being a very high prospect myself, somewhat failing, and then kind of figuring out the game later in life. So kind of been in everybody's seat as a player, and then coached in the minor leagues for quite some time as well. So I think it's more just life experience that can help settle the guys down. Sure, the baseball part is, but the X and O part I think is pretty easy as far as how that's going. I just take a lot of pride in understanding where they're at in life, at what stage they're in with their family, whether it's kids, whether it's wife or parents. You know, there's a level of that too, and just this is a pretty big deal to play under the lights every night, and everybody sees your failure and things like that. And I know they're not doing it to hurt my feelings. So it's one of those things. Some guys coach a little differently, but it's just, how can I help you, or how can I get you to sleep at night is more the goal than it is to baseball.
Was there a coach that influenced your style?
The two people I give credit, besides my father obviously, are Dwayne Murphy and Mel Queen, both of them with the Blue Jays. Just the way they understood the whole game. You know, a lot of people teach fundamentals, a lot of people teach by the book. Dwayne Murphy was a Gold Glove guy. He taught me how to relax and pimp through the ball instead of things like that. And then Mel Queen, He pitched in the big leagues and played in the outfield in the big leagues, so he had all the aspects. And they explained, never watch the baseball, watch everything else how it's moving. Everybody's watching the ball. Just simple things like that, simple cues. So those are the ones that probably taught me the most.
My last question, you're obviously one of the great UCF baseball alums of all time. You're still passionate about UCF as a school. You go to football, you mentioned your wife's one of the greatest volleyball players in the history of school. What would you want people to say about you and your wife and the family? Because you're keeping that black and gold pride, and now you got a son that's following there and going to school.
I think it's more pride of seeing what it was and seeing where we're at now. I just sit back and tell the stories with all the buddies. Like I said, we're still friends with a lot of people that we went to school with. So I think it's more the pride of knowing that we went there before all this was happening. It still was a very big school, but not to the point of recognition. Like I said, when I grew up in South Florida, it was 3 hours away. I'd never really heard of it. So just those simple things, it's more of a pride thing to know that I can wear the black and gold and see what it's grown into.
What are these? You've experienced several full circle moments. What's it been like, just in general? How would you describe? I mean, getting to see Luke play. You also got to spend a season with the Marlins, basically your hometown team. As an experiencer of all these four full circle moments, just kind of take me through how special that is for you.
When you're going through it, you don't appreciate it. But then you come back and sit back and see the joy it brought my mom and dad, the joy like playing at Joe Robbie Stadium, as you say, with the Marlins, when I don't think anybody else appreciated that at the time. But growing up down there, I got to look around knowing I watched Dan Marino play there and things like that. So playing at that stadium is special. And I don't take this for granted by any means. This is still a game, a child's game. And I've been doing it my whole life. And I just want to make sure everybody's enjoying as much as I am. I don't take this for granted. Sure, there's times that we complain when it's 100 degrees here at George Steinbrenner, but look at the life I'm living, look at the life my family gets to live. So it's been a fun ride. I'm sure it's almost done by now, but I can't think of any box I haven't checked as far as baseball. And like I said, my kids are successful at what they're doing now, so there's a lot of pride in that too.
All right. Thank you so much.
And thanks again to Chad Mottola and the Tampa Bay Rays for setting that interview up. Don's working on a big feature of the Mottola family that will be out in the future on blackandgoldbanneret.com. But that was good to talk to Chad Mottola and catch up with him. The Tampa Bay Rays currently are one of the hottest teams in Major League Baseball. Have had the best record over the last 25 games, and they're among the best offenses in Major League Baseball. So certainly a credit to Chad Mottola there, who you kind of look at the UCF alums in baseball. You got Dylan Moore currently doing his thing with the Seattle Mariners, having a good year there. Ben Lively, unfortunately, just had an season-ending injury and is out for the year as the pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians. Of course, UCF alums are doing well in Major League Baseball, with Ryan Bass doing the sideline reporting for the Tampa Bay Rays this season. And, of course, our old friend Brian Murphy working at MLB.com, just to name a handful of guys. And that's not even including Kylie McDaniel, who's a UCF alum, who, of course, is ESPN's MLB draft expert for them on ESPN. So kind of a good run of UCF alums in professional baseball, especially in the big leagues, whether it be media or player or it's a lot of or coaching in Chad Mottola's case. And right now you could make the case Chad Mottola certainly maybe as good of a UCF alum as far as his profession than any UCF athlete has in the current landscape. That's certainly something to food for thought on that one. With the successes, the Rays perhaps in position here to make a run to once again get back into the Major League Baseball playoffs and try to chase down a World Series. So that's the story there with Chad Mottola. Of course, his wife, Emily Mottola, was a standout setter, maybe the greatest setter all time, leads all time in UCF volleyball in assists, and honestly should be in the UCF Athletics Hall of Fame. Kind of got snubbed in the 90s. We'll see if she gets in down the road in the future. And, of course, the son, Luke Mottola, redshirted this year. Kind of a raw athlete, as you heard Chad talk about. That was kind of similar to what Rich Wallace told me at Media Day about him. But we'll certainly see him with the UCF baseball program in years to come, a great athlete there, and continuing that Mottola family tradition at UCF. All right, so that will do it for that interview. Hope you enjoyed this special edition of Night Shift. The staff will be back at some point, probably in the near future, next week or so. Until then, keep it on blackandgoldbanneret.com for all the latest at UCF, as well as check out, of course, the UCF social media places on Instagram, on Facebook, the YouTube channel in particular, as well. And we'll keep it there throughout the summer. We'll have some other interviews this summer. And before you know it, the college football season is just around the corner for year one of the return of the Scott Frost era. Interestingly, Scott Frost, by the way, at the Rays-Orioles game on Monday night up in Tampa. So it's all fully connected there and much more. Again, thanks to Chad Mottola for joining us for the interview. Thanks to the Tampa Bay Rays for setting it up. Thanks to Don Struble. He'll be very busy early in the immediate future covering the Rays. He'll be working with us still as well. Hope everybody's enjoyed their Father's Day weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Eric Lopez saying so long. You've been listening to this edition of Night Shift.